it's 10 o'clock, so we'll call this recess meeting from June 15th to order. And we only have 2 items. The first item is item 2A, water sewer rates, late fee and service penalty. And everybody has that in front of them. And is there any questions, comments on that? If not, we'll take the entertained motion to...
No, I have a question.
Okay.
So, with the increase, on page, on page 3 in your big books, from the city manager, it talks about a case forms violation, and I kind of want some clarity on that, and if that violation charge and what we're responsible for has anything to do with us raising rates in any way.
Okay, so the case form violations, that has to do with the testing of the sewer, and so that they are expected to bring online their new sewer system that they've invested quite a bit of money in to bring it online here shortly. So regardless of us changing the rates, we know that that violation is going to go down because they're going to be able to treat their own sewer. So we had already taken that into account in the fact that our revenues were going to go down. I think we were getting about $1 million a year from them, and I know that's going to cut down by about half. So that wasn't necessarily the driving force of the rate increase. The rate increase is based on the fact that we have a lot, millions of dollars of deferred maintenance and personnel issues that we're trying to deal with.
So the violation was not on our part, it was on their part, is that what you're saying?
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am. So, but we have to treat it, so they have to help offset our costs, but now they're gonna treat their own, so we're not gonna have those increased costs. Yes ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes ma'am.
So you believe that we didn't raise these rates because of that?
No, sir. I mean, based on looking at the Stantec utility rate study that they did, they looked at our cost of service and to produce water, to treat sewer. And that's what they were trying to cover. That is what everybody tries to do, is you try to cover those rates. We have not been doing that. And as you see from the fact we really haven't raised any rates officially, you know, for many, many years, we're not keeping up with the cost. And like I said, if you look at that CIP list and you look at the hundreds of millions of dollars that in the next 10 years needs to be done, and we keep pushing it off, that's what we're trying to address.
I would also add in my notes that there's $22.3 million in outstanding debt associated with past work that's been done. That helps cover this cost.
Any more questions?
I just want to address, I just received an email, well, I actually saw it yesterday, but it's hard copy here. One of, my constituents' concerns was, well, they're actually opposed to it, as I'm sure many people are, but is there a lower, I know we've calculated the jobs and the equipment and the infrastructure, but the 17.5 is definitely the lowest, as opposed to, of course, the 25%. I just want clarity on that.
I think we all agree.
That's my understanding. Especially when the study recommended 50%.
Yes,
Right.
that is correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else?
Yes.
Not, does anybody want to make a motion?
I have something to say. Excuse me, tardiness for getting in here late. How are you? Gene, good to see you, sir.
Good to be back. Tells you to stay away from doctor's offices.
Okay. I've spent an extremely amount of time reviewing our budget, and to be honest, I have great concerns. There's been information I've requested, and to be honest, it has been challenging to obtain. Why? And when I finally received information, I believe it to be incomplete. And during our budget process, I've requested to review documents from departments asking for information that is involving the public tax dollars. Should not be difficult for me or anyone to review. First, I am one of you, a citizen, and second, an elected councilman. Our budget is of great importance and is something I don't take lightly. As the budgeting process began, I believed our constituents should have the opportunity to address where they would like to see their tax dollars best used. And many responded via social media with great ideas. We also had members from the community address the budget on Monday, June 15th. And send us emails. These citizens have researched and pointed out issues within our department budgets. Their voices should be considered. As council and staff addressed the budget, I asked about Friends of Seymour and why was these monies coming from mayor and council budget within fiscal year 2021. Within our large bonder, the amount was $61,500. I was quickly corrected by Mayor Allen. That total was $80,000. The conflicting amount was a concern. I also asked who are Friends of Seymour. The mayor responded and stated that that group should do better to inform us of what Friends of Seymour's board is involved in. This was our first day of budget meeting. At next budget meeting, I inquired about Friends of Seymour, and Mayor Allen admitted that he was a board member and Bill Broadway was a member as well. Why didn't our council member and mayor disclose that at the time of discussion that they were part of Friends of Seymour? Councilman Broadway stated, "It's like a war chest." It was unclear to me what he meant, a war chest. For who and what? Later we learned that City Manager Timothy Salmon is also on the board. It is unclear who are all board members. I have never reviewed any meeting minutes or had a monthly or yearly report submitted to council in the past 4.5 years that I've served on this board, nor was I asked to participate until yesterday via Zoom. It was still unclear who the board members are, as there were over 30 individuals on Zoom meetings. I find this concerning. I reviewed Friends of Seymour contract, and from what I've read, it has not been revised since 2014. A lot has changed since then, and I understand our mayor, Councilman Broadway, and city manager are on the financial committee. Seymour Johnson Air Force Base is important. We have a military affairs committee that informs us how things are going regarding Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I support our base. In these tight budget times, it is tough for me to justify to my constituents an $80,000 allocation of funds to a group that some members of our council are just learning about. Can you all legally vote on account 1991 line item 1 as it would appear to be a conflict of interest since you also sit on the finance committee for this board? And that question is for Mr. Lawrence, our attorney. I really do appreciate being able to attend the Zoom meeting yesterday to learn a little bit about this group. We have cut the budget for a lot of our outside agencies that we give funds to, and I do not think it would be fair to not look at cutting that budget here. I hope Friends of Seymour can understand the complexity of our budget and our need to cut costs where we are able to keep our city moving forward. We need to make room in our budget for the forensic audit, and due to information in our budget and the things brought to our attention, I do not see how we can avoid not doing it. I don't think any of us want to be standing on the wrong side of history when it comes to the financial health of the city. I mean, look at the Board of Education and what they are going through. You have citizens asking them to all step down due to their lack of attention to their financial health. I'm not saying we are the school board, but I am saying we need to assure our citizens that we are paying attention to how their tax dollars are being spent, and the forensic audit allows us to do so. It is like going to the doctor to get a full physical, and it is recommended that you do that every so often. If you look at the budget and our amendments, we have a lot of departments with poor accounting practices. And that's another reason to do this. To my knowledge, we have never had a forensic audit done in the last 40 years, maybe more. A lot has happened. I think it's time. For me, to make informed decisions, I require as much information as possible. I took an oath to the citizens and the state of North Carolina, and I take this oath seriously. Again, I appreciate the hard work of Ms. Gwen and her department. For that reason, I have stated I cannot, in good conscience, approve this budget without an allocation in the budget for a forensic audit. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Okay, just so we're clear, right? And please be patient with me. These fees and this violation, just again, for clarity, has nothing to do with why we are increasing the water and sewer rate.
No, ma'am, we're looking at the whole picture for the water and sewer utility. As Mr. Broadway or the mayor said, that they recommended a 56% increase in
Right.
order for us to cover our cost. The violation, when they bring their plant online, this new sewer capacity, they'll be able to treat and reduce their violations, which in turn reduces our cost. So basically, we were charging them to help offset our additional cost. So if it doesn't have to be treated, our cost goes down. We have a lot of personnel and a lot of equipment and a lot of deferred maintenance, so that's what the rate increase is based on what they call the cost of service. So to answer your question.
Thank you
Yes, ma'am.
again for,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Anybody like to make a motion?
Before we make the motion, I asked Mr. Lawrence a question pertaining to Friends of Seymour. We have board members that sit on this council that will be voting on this in the budget, and they are on a finance committee. How can they possibly vote on this item?
I don't know at this point. If you'd have given me the question maybe yesterday, I could have had a chance to review it and research it, but I'm not prepared to respond right now. But I
Well,
can
it's no
respond
different
later.
than being on Gateway or being on this,
No.
or being on that, and voting on those budgets.
That is not
It
true.
really is a difference, but I think the issue on the table is you want a motion for this sewer and water only. This is what we need to. Okay, but we do need to get back to that because it is an issue. It's a huge conflict of interest, actually, but we can handle this right here so we can be done with this part. Is that what you're asking for, a motion, right?
Yeah,
Just for this? Okay.
so is there a motion to approve or not approve?
I make a motion that we approve the budget as recommended in the document prepared by the finance director and city manager.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. All right, now we got item B, which is budget ordinance for fiscal year 2021. Is there anything you need to talk about that on, Catherine?
Sir, the only thing, we made the changes as the council discussed on the 15th, and those changes are summarized after my agenda cover memo. The only other change that I made was the $40,000 for the advertising for the Travel and Tourism Board. I put that back in this morning, so if that's something that y'all don't want to do, we have another ordinance that we can jump back to, but we made the change to put the 17.5% in the budget, and then the $40,000 for the Travel and Tourism for their advertising.
Any questions? Comments? No, is there a motion to approve?
Hold on, can you give me just a second, if you don't mind?
So is this council willing to allocate money for the audit?
I'm not,
Why?
because I want to see what, Catherine does.
I want to see what she does.
Do what?
Weren't you in the closed session meeting? Didn't you hear how detrimental it is to have an audit?
I
We
just told you my
haven't had an
opinion.
audit.
I'm not gonna debate you, I told you my opinion, I'm not.
We haven't, I'm not debating, I'm talking to you. I'm discussing this right now. We've had no audits in the last few years. We've had accountants, but we've had no audits.
We're getting one right now.
Well, it's a little too late for that.
Well, it's a little bit too late for that, and I guess it's a little too late for forensic accounting.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Because in order for us to move forward, we gotta figure out where we went wrong, so those mistakes don't happen again. And there's been a lot of mistakes that has happened.
Well, my
This
opinion
council
is,
heard it, yes,
when we do that, we'll know.
Mr. Acock, you heard the closed session meeting yesterday. There was a lot of problems, a ton of problems,
We've got a motion.
a lot of bad behavior,
Let's vote on the
a
motion.
lot of bad behavior, a lot of departments doing incorrect things. How can we clear this? We have to have a forensic audit.
My question is, when you have a forensic audit, you're looking for a specific item, you know, where somebody has done something wrong, that you think they've done something wrong, and that you need to audit to prove it. And right now, I don't see where anything has been done wrong that I question. Yes, there's been some accounting errors, but that was due, a lot of it, to the way that Kay Scott did her books and the way Catherine does her books. And, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, unless we can say exactly what we're looking for, then it's sort of like trying to find that proverbial needle in a haystack. You know, if we don't know what we're looking for, how will we know if we find it?
Well, that's what forensic audit,
No, it's not.
that's what they do. They know where to look. They know where to find. Right now, we have Catherine, and she's recreating books, just like a forensic audit, but it's not a forensic audit. We need a forensic audit because she has stated to us that there has been serious wrongdoing here. I have said forensic audit a ton of times. No one's taking it seriously. You guys will be gone one day, I'll be gone, and this is gonna be left on the shoulders of people who fill these seats. And it's gonna be a horrible thing that we didn't do anything about it, and we had the power to do something about it. The newspaper has refused to write forensic audit in any of their papers. I'm calling the newspaper out. We need a forensic audit in this city. It's for the citizens. It's for our children here, so we can straighten up this mess that's going on here. We got employees doing the wrong thing in this in these departments. It's shameful. It's shameful.
All right. Anybody else got any comments?
Miss Catherine,
Yes, ma'am.
these two documents that I'm holding,
Yes, ma'am.
this one's thicker, this one's not. It's the
Yes,
only way I know how to explain it right now.
Yes, ma'am.
What is, the one we're dealing with right now, is this where we could include monies for a forensic audit, if so happened the board agreed to do that? Or is this where it needs to happen?
So the thinner document is the one we voted on first, which was the resolution for the water and sewer rates that
Right,
increases.
we got that
That's the thinner one, okay.
Hey, go ahead, Ron. Captain, excuse me one minute.
No.
We need some clarity
That's
on
not-
that motion,
but-
because there was some issue about whether or not that was the motion or not the motion, so the clerk went back and listened, that's why she left the room.
But wait a minute, no. He's referring to something else. Ms. Catherine is answering my question, and she should not be cut off to deal with something prior to. We're open for discussion, and I'm asking questions. It's not fair for her to be cut off to deal with that
He
issue.
was back there waving his hand. I don't know what he wanted, okay?
She said that the motion passed. I was trying to clarify that that wasn't really the motion, I think, that was made. So I was trying to assist her in responding to your question, because she said that motion passed. We don't think that was the motion that was made that actually passed. Wasn't. So we're trying to assist y'all in clarification purposes.
So it should have been, the first thing we should have done was passed a resolution to do the 17.5% water and sewer rate increase, the resolution. Then we would have done the budget ordinance, so resolution ordinance. And to answer your question, Councilwoman, the budget ordinance, the thicker document, is the document that, you can allocate monies today, or we can amend the budget at any point in time, as we do periodically, so that if the council does make those changes to allocate funds, just as if they wish to allocate more agency funds later in the year, we just do a budget amendment. The council has to approve that. The only thing that the council has to do before June 30th with the budget ordinance, you have to set the tax rate. That's required by law. Everything else, we can change that after the first of the year. And if you wish to allocate, $5,000, $10,000 for whatever purpose, such as a forensic audit, you certainly have the power to do so.
So I guess my question was, so I'm asking again for some patience, because I am making a decision of millions of dollars, and I want to be real clear what's going on. This first paper that we just dealt with, whether it was right or wrong, is for water.
Water and sewer rates.
Water and sewer.
Yes, ma'am.
This second one that we're dealing with right now is for property tax.
It's everything. So it's the whole budget. So it's general fund, water and sewer fund, occupancy tax, the downtown MSD, stormwater, so all the operating funds. That's the $63 million budget. So that's what you're approving, is all operating funds.
And included in that is the proposal for the Herman Park Center?
No, it's not in there.
We didn't include that in the budget this year.
You're talking about the debt payment, Councilman,
The loan.
for Herman Park Center?
Yes.
The debt payment was not included because we will not make a debt payment on Herman Park Center in fiscal '21. Yes, sir.
And if I could make a comment, the utility rates that you just passed are part of the utility fund that is in the overall budget. So first you had to approve the utility rates, okay? Now, if we could have the clerk read back what was proposed as I think it might have been worded differently. Let's make sure we know what we're talking about, what
Councilmember
council
Ham
agreed to.
stated to adopt the budget as recommended by the manager and the finance director. So the motion appears to have been that you adopted the budget and not the water and sewer rates.
Well, I thought we did the water and sewer rates already and voted on it.
We don't recall there being a vote on that.
But didn't we just do it?
Well, we were talking about water and sewer rates, and then the proposal from Councilmember Ham was on the budget.
That's what I,
Understand, it wasn't on the water and sewer rates. Is that what we're saying? Is that what y'all
So we
saying?
need to determine,
What were you-
we approved the budget or
You were
not.
talking about the water and sewer rates?
yes.
Okay, well, let's just do it right and change your motion, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
So it's it didn't have an item number, but it says, resolution establishing a water and sewer rate incorporating 17.5% water and sewer rate. Are you got that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second again.
Is there any discussion? Not everybody in favor, raise your right hand. Everybody opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, we good there? We
Yes.
got water rates established, water and sewer rates established. All right, so then we're gonna move to the next, which is the overall budget that we've been discussing. Is there a motion to approve or disapprove that?
I make a motion that we approve the budget for the city of Goldsboro for the fiscal year 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, whole budget, okay. Now can we get some clarity on because we do have, I have an extreme issue with the Friends of Seymour as well, and this is in no way of me not in support of the base, our airmen and women and their families, because I agree we should support them wholeheartedly. That's not what this is about. However, it's because we do have members, I sat on a board for some time, and when I became councilwoman, I received a letter from that board dismissing me, not in a bad way, but saying it could be a conflict of interest considering the fact that I vote on a budget and we give money to them as an agency. So we have council members who sit on that board and on their finance board, and they're voting, making decisions about money that were given to them. And even with our military affairs committee, they sit on that board and we give them money as well, and that's included in this. And I just don't think, I sat on the Zoom call yesterday, and to be honest, I'm just as confused today as I was before. And I hadn't had a chance. I don't think we're in a position to vote on this budget at all. I have looked at this book every day since I got it, and I still can't get through all of it. So the fact that we're even making a decision and we have until June 30th to do this is troubling to me. And I will not believe that everybody on this board has had a chance to go through this book the way we should, considering what's on the table. So I guess my first issue is, is it a conflict of interest? And we're not basing it on opinion, we're basing it on our policy about our boards and commissions that I read yesterday, our conflict of interest statement. And after that question is answered, I will make a motion that we don't vote on this today at all, because I don't think we're ready to do that. But we have to settle the motion that's already on the table, I understand that, but those are just my discussion items.
Well, first of all,
Right now.
let me just tell you a couple of things that I'm not sure you know or understand yet. The contract that we have with the Friends of Seymour, the $80,000, we've got a contract. We can't just not.
From 2014, that contract does not include an end date, it doesn't say
It
expiration.
doesn't matter, we're still under contract, okay? And we're still, if you go read the contract.
I did, I read it, Chuck Allen, I read
You
it.
agree that we're still under contract?
Can
I don't know, because it's unclear, it's from 2014, there's no way of me even knowing, because according to what I saw yesterday, according to what I researched about the Roosevelt Group, the purpose of that group even forming, that's not what's happening. It's not what's happening.
The reason, and we've told.
So we're already in breach of contract, if you want to really be honest.
We're not. The reason.
Yeah, we are.
The reason that the Roosevelt Group, that we ever started the Friends of Seymour is because of the wind farm, okay? That's why we ever started.
That's not even in the contract.
It doesn't matter if it's in the contract or not.
Oh, it matters if it's in the contract, Mayor Allen, it matters.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. I'm trying
We're
to
not
tell you
arguing, I'm
exactly
asking for
what we got.
clarity, understand, because
You
I
don't
have to
listen to
answer to
clarity.
my
I'm telling
constituents
you
at the
clarity.
end of
You
the
won't
day.
listen.
Contracts are
So
valid.
I don't know what you want us to do. And
I
we're
want you to
not
be
on-
fair,
just
and I
so
want you to be
know,
honest.
We're not on the, I'm about tired of you telling me I'm not honest, okay? Because I've never told you one thing that was wrong to my knowledge. It's just so you know, we're not on the Friends of Seymour board, okay? We're on the finance committee. And all we do, and I think we might have met 2 times, okay? And that was mainly to approve the Roosevelt Group's contract and how they spent. And that's all we've ever done, and that's all they've ever done. As far as we, the Friends of Seymour, the MAC, we're not on the MAC. The MAC doesn't let elected officials be on their board. Okay, so we've never, none of us, to my knowledge, have never been on the MAC. They're fixing to start inviting Tim and the county manager to come to their meetings because we didn't have representation on their board. So they're gonna, now you can be a member of the MAC, which some of us are, but we're not on the board and we just go to the functions. So that's kind of, and the MAC is kind of local. The Friends of Seymour is more Washington DC, Langley, wherever it is, and doing the lobbying. And that's kind of the breakup of where all that is. But I'm not sure what else, I mean, you tell me what you want to know and we'll get it for you.
No, I understand what you're saying. You said this the last time. I'm not debating what you're saying. If we look at the contract, and from what I learned yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Jimmy because he invited me to ask him any questions, and I would like to have an opportunity to do that. What you're saying and what the contract says is not even the same thing. And I learned about the wind farms, but what I'm saying, the wind farms and all of that, in Virginia, I researched all of it. We're paying $80,000 to a lobbying group.
That's correct. That is correct.
Can I clarify, sir, please? If you look in your big book, do you have that there for the budget? If you look on page 23, okay, it'll say $80,000 for consultant fees, of which 61.5 is for the Friends of Seymour. The other 18.5 is used for various consultants, which in the past have included the Mercer Group for city manager search, Dunkel and Dunham, etc. So that 18.5 of the 80K can be used however you need to go forward in the next fiscal year. Of the 61.5, about half is going to the Roosevelt Group for their lobbyist efforts on whatever issues arise at the time. The other half is being spent in different ways in support of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. And Mr. Edmondson yesterday mentioned he'd have a meeting with you all to discuss those details anytime you'd like. So what you would be doing now is passing the budget that enables those things to happen. If you want to change it at a later date, you can do that. But I don't know if we're going to get to the bottom of that in the next week or two before the budget needs to be passed. Catherine needs a good week to put the details together to get this out correctly. So that's why we're trying to get it done now. Other municipalities have done it earlier in May. Some go to the very end of June. So that's kind of where we're at with this.
Well, in
And
regards
just
to-
for more clarity, do you mind, Mr. Councilman Williams? I checked the Roosevelt's Group website, and I don't know if maybe you guys are aware, but it says over $70,000 has been paid to them over the duration of the past since 2014. It's on their website. So if we're paying, what you're telling me is so far we've paid them $20,000 for the work they've done up until now. It's on their website. It's on their website. This is not numbers that I'm making up. I pulled it up, and over the duration of the time we have retained them, we have paid them over $72,000+ for their lobbyists to do whatever.
Well, we pay-
So what I'm
we
saying
pay
is that
$60,000 a year, okay? So you're right on that.
What he just said, and what I can see in my budget on page 23 of the big book where it says mayor and council business, I have three different things that I'm looking at here. So if we're only paying 61, when the Roosevelt Group clearly reports 72+,
This is just
What am I
this
missing?
fiscal year. You're missing the number of years that we paid to the Roosevelt Group, which could be 2 or 3 years worth of funds. The 70K you're mentioning is over the history, not this particular year.
No, it wasn't. It was, have you seen it? Do y'all even know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, the Roosevelt Group has a not a Facebook page, has a website. And you can click on any of their clients, is what they call them, and you can see how much they spend with them over the duration of them being clients. Each year, each calendar year, it tells you how much has been paid. This is not the number over the combined years. I want you to be clear. Every year, we've paid them over $72,000. So how does that match this? If we're paying Dunkel and Dunham, if we're paying B.R. Carnegie, if we're paying the Mercer Group, which you're saying is totaling $80,000, then how is the Friends of Seymour giving them?
Well, you gotta remember the county's paying some, okay? So that the county's paying some.
Half of this is paid by the county.
And then, they may have a bill that we pay or something else. I mean,
So
we
if
have a
it's-
fee and it's plus their billing of whatever if they spend money to do something.
So if it's 72, we would have paid 36.
Yeah.
We're assuming, because y'all haven't
No,
even
no, no,
seen the
no, that's the
document
way
that I'm
the
looking at.
contract
We have
reads.
all
The
that.
contract
We
I
can
sent
get
you
all
says that.
Nobody knew you wanted all that.
Well,
I think we all should want to look at
you know what my
that.
problem is? My problem is this. I sat on this council, spent 4.5 years now. Councilman Foster sat on this board. None of us, nobody included us, nobody explained to us, nobody told us anything about Friends of Seymour. And it's unfortunate, I asked the mayor, our first budget meeting, I asked the mayor, no one in here responded as if they were involved with Friends of Seymour. The following day, the mayor admitted that he was part of this group. And that's unfortunate to me. You're not disclosing things. What else aren't you disclosing? That's my concerns. That's my concerns.
Do we have a motion?
We have a motion.
Do we have a second? Did you make a second? Your motion, didn't you second it, David?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise? Motion carries. All right. I think that's all we were supposed to do. All right, anybody got anything else they wanted to say or do before we recess, or before we adjourn?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm disappointed with this council. The facts were laid out to them with all the discrepancies we have when it comes to our departments, and you chose not to do anything, and you made a wrong decision. It's not the first wrong decision. I'm not finished, sir. We had auditors come in here that led the city of money, didn't do proper work, and we're just gonna continue to hide their bad work. Nobody's held accountable. Not the auditors, not the department heads, not anyone. This is the same council who tried to hold me accountable for things I didn't even do. But you're not holding people accountable who did nothing wrong. Did something wrong. I'm not saying you guys did anything wrong, but you know there was wrong done here in this city. And you're sitting here quiet. And that's
I want to be on record,
disappointing.
I don't know of any wrong that's been done. There might have been mistakes, but I don't think anybody here has intentionally done anything illegal.
If it's a mistake, then we still need to figure out where that mistake started at.
She's figuring it
No,
out.
it's not up to her just to figure it out. She's an employee. We need an outside entity to come here and resolve this mess.
Anybody else got any comments? If not,
I just think it's real disappointing.
All right,
And I wasn't done talking.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and talk.